I'm Andrea Honigsfeld, Associate Dean and Director of the Division of Education EDD program called Educational Leadership for the Diverse Learning Community. I co-taught a course with Mark James. The title is Change Leadership for Equity, Social Justice, and Excellence. And in that co-taught class, we decided to address very difficult topics through a highly interactive mode. And our poster shows many of the different grouping strategies that we use. Even though we did have mini lectures and more traditional kind of teaching, such as using PowerPoint, the majority of our class time was spent facilitating, as the title of our presentation shows, collaborative conversations and difficult dialogues. So I'm going to pass it on to Mark to continue explaining how our course went.
I'm Mark James, the Department of English. I deal with American Studies, American Literature, African American Studies, and African American Literature. And as Dr. Honigsfeld indicated, what we tried to do is try to get students involved in the conversations about these difficult topics. And so one of the goals of the class was to make sure that each student had an opportunity to speak to each other student, and then in certain groups as they grew larger. So you can see here, for instance, we did pairs, threes, and fours, and then also whole groups. But then there were some other strategies that included Andrea's use of the line up and fold, which is taking the class, lining it up, and just folding it over into half, and then having one group rotate almost in a speed dating style after they spoke for a couple of moments. This way every student has an opportunity to speak to a larger number of students where you talk about a specific context or the specific issue or whatever. Another strategy is called the station rotation, where there's a specific question on the wall in different groups, or different questions throughout the classroom, and people go from station to station and talk about those issues and to write down specific solutions or questions or whatever that come to mind as they deal with each of these stations. The other idea was over the course of the semester, each of the students was in a group and they were working towards a group presentation that's the capstone of the course. And so each one would deal with, let's say, poverty or racism or something like that, another social justice issue. They would give their presentation as a group, and then afterwards they would sit down as a group and talk about the way that they felt that the presentation went, the way that the strengths that they brought, the way that they understood things, give each other feedback, and we're sitting and watching. Then after they finished that, we spoke to them. This is called the fishbowl, when they're sitting in that small group. And then the final display here is called the send-a problem, where a group of four will sit together, create a problem, discuss something that they think needs to be addressed, and then take that problem and go to, one person will be an ambassador, and they'll go group to group to group to see what each of those other groups would suggest, give suggestions about how to deal with that particular issue. Then come back with all of these different answers to that particular problem. And that's kind of those were some of the strategies that we used. It was a very effective course, I thought.